I expect these Carolina Panthers to really, as I said earlier, really try to make this as physical a game as they can. See if these New Orleans Saints are as focused and as physical as they are.
And Mike Goodson waits back. Fielded by the up man at the 10-yard line and out across the 30 and up to the 33-yard line. The tight end Dante Rosario. Well, one of the big stories here in Carolina surrounds Matt Moore, third-year quarterback from Oregon State. He's 25 years old. The last 2 weeks, you talk about outplaying two of the league's best. 6 touchdowns, no interceptions in victories over Brett Favre and the Vikings, and last week's rout of Eli Manning and the Giants. Moore, of course, replacing the injured starter Jake Delhomme, who's out with a broken finger. But this has been Carolina's MO the entire year, and that's running the football. Jonathan Stewart for a yard. Stewart against the Giants last week set a franchise record with 206 rushing yards. He has over 1,000 on the year, as does the injured D'Angelo Williams. And up front, this group, the same offensive line with all the injuries to Otog. It's the third game in the row they have started. Along with Jordan Gross, that's the other tackle who's out for Carolina. Stewart a big gainer. One man to beat. To the 30. To the 20. Touchdown, Jonathan Stewart.
Well, Tom, how many games have we seen Carolina where all of a sudden they get off to this kind of start? Whether it's D'Angelo Williams or Stewart, you're going to see here Brad Hoover leading up, doing a nice job leading up. But we got a lot of folks in this box now, and they all get crowded to one side. Stop right there. They over pursue, and now we get he breaks all the way out the backside. Seems like every time we have Carolina, Tom, they break one of these big plays off early.
A 67-yard touchdown run for Jonathan Stewart on the second play from scrimmage. And the point after is good by John Casey. We talk about Carolina and how physical a style they have. You may remember the first meeting between these two teams. It was a rough and tumble game won by the Saints 30-20. But the man on the very first play of that game was D'Angelo Williams, who broke one off for 68 yards. And now a short kickoff following the 67-yard touchdown run by Jonathan Stewart. So no Drew Brees today, and making his first start since November the 12th in the 2006 season, 17-year veteran Mark Brunell. At one time, coach, he was among the best in all of football.
I saw Mark Brunell in high school when I was recruiting. Best high school quarterback I've ever seen. Unbelievable. Santa Maria High School in California.
Brunell to throw on first down, and the catch is made by Marcus Colston. Blanket coverage by Chris Campbell. Campbell ripped it away from him, but the play had already blown dead. So all the changes for the Saints. Reggie Bush will start and will play. No Pierre Thomas today. You see the tight end position. They're without Jeremy Shockey and David Thomas, so Darnell Dinkins gets a start there. The trio of Goodwin, Pro Bowlers, Evans, and Stinchcomb will start the game, but Sean Payton called them dotted players, meaning they won't be in there long. They'll be replaced very early.
And that's always the difficult thing when you're going about it this way. Some guys come in, some guys come out. One guy they're going to leave in a little bit is on the left side, Jermon Bushrod. He has had some struggles of late, Tom, and they want to see how he's going to perform against this good Carolina front.
No Drew Brees here today, on his way to his 4th Pro Bowl, his 3rd as a Saint. And without any action today, he will break Kenny Anderson's all-time completion percentage record in the history of a single year. It should be noted Kenny Anderson did his with the Bengals in the strike-shortened season of 1982. A 2nd down and 7. And Mike Bell slammed to the deck by John Beeson. Take a look at Carolina defensively. Much has been made about the future of Julius Peppers. Once again, he's going to a Pro Bowl for the 5th time in 8 years. John Beeson is not going to the Pro Bowl, and many wonder why not. And in that secondary, it's still Marshall and Gamble the corners, Godfrey and Harris the safeties. 3rd and 6. Brunell to throw for the 2nd time in the game. Incomplete. 3 and out for the Saints offense. Everett Brown applying the pressure to Mark Brunell.
And this is just coming off these edges now on both sides here. They can bring pressure with Julius Peppers on one side and bringing Brayton from the other, which is going to open you up both on the inside and outside. We talked about the difficulties Bushrod was having leading into this game. He's got quite a matchup today against Peppers.
Thomas Morstead on the punt, and standing back at his own 10-yard line is Captain Munnerlyn. From the 9. And Munnerlyn dropped in his tracks by Courtney Roby. Carolina set to get the football for the 2nd time today. Already a 67-yard touchdown run by Jonathan Stewart. He'll get the bulk of the carries in the absence of that man who's on his way to the Pro Bowl, having rushed for over 1,100 yards this season, D'Angelo Williams. And here is Stewart for a couple. Talked about some of the changes in the starting lineup for the Saints on offense. On defense, no Cedric Ellis. He's missed 5 games this season with an injured knee. Fujita is in there, not for long. Marvin Mitchell starts in place of Jonathan Vilma. And Jonathan Casillas, the rookie, starts in place of Scott Shanley. Gave the start of the secondary along with Tracy Porter. Jabari Greer plays for the first time in 8 weeks following a sports hernia injury and a subsequent surgery. Look at Stewart. Don't tell him he's not playing for a place in the playoffs today.
Tom, the last time we saw these two teams, that was as physical a game as I think I've seen all year long. Carolina came into the Dome there in New Orleans, and New Orleans stayed toe-to-toe with them with a physical style of play. This defense, I'm talking about New Orleans now, has not kept up that physical style of play, and they've given up some big plays, a la what we saw here to start the game. That's the challenge for them the rest of this game. Can they play physical and not give up the big play?
3rd down to the yard. Stewart again. I'm not sure he got there. He didn't need much. He needed less than a yard. Oh, they're saying 1st down. They gave him the benefit of the doubt on that spot of the football. A lot of Saints fans are here, having made the short trip from New Orleans, and they didn't like this 1st down call.
I want you to see how many bodies we've got jammed up into here. You talk about sell out to the run, and here comes the safety in for good measure. This is going to give Carolina an opportunity, if they want to take it, to play pass on a short down and distance and take a shot down the field.
Play fake. And Moore, his first throw. And a catch is made by Muhsin Muhammad. That's a 1st down to the 35-yard line. The Panthers are without their perennial All-Pro wide receiver, Steve Smith. He broke his left forearm on a touchdown reception last week.
This is just a deep comeback by Muhsin Muhammad. We're going to see a lot of Matt Moore outside the pocket, and this is the kind of route that Muhammad will prosper with. Use his size, work back to the sideline. Matt Moore sprinting out to one side or the other with primarily a single receiver route.
Mike Goodson carries for the 1st time in the game. How far that Giants defense has fallen from a team that won the whole thing 2 years ago. Moore overthrows the intended tight end, Jeff King.
Well, they're playing a Minnesota team that again, early in the season, I don't think there was a better team in the NFL than the Minnesota Vikings, but some of the issues on the offensive line, the play of Brett Favre, and in their secondary makes it a very interesting combination going into the NFC playoff picture.
Of course, Minnesota has slipped here recently, which means not only do the Vikings have to win to nail down the number 2 seed in the playoffs, but they also need a Philadelphia loss or tie. Third down pass play incomplete with an eye on Muhammad, so Carolina will punt it for the first time today.
And of course, it was a loss by the Vikings, a surprising loss to Chicago that changed the complexion of this game. On Monday, prior to the game, Sean Payton made it very clear they were playing for that playoff spot and that seeding, but then Minnesota lost. A surprise loss to Chicago changed the tenor of this game and Sean Payton's plan for how he was going to use his starters.
The punt return game is an area where Sean Payton wants this team to get better in a hurry. Reggie Bush, a fair catch at the 20-yard line, so Brunell and company will get it for the second time. Carolina early on in front 7-0 on a 67-yard touchdown run by Jonathan Stewart. Well, after Reggie Bush fielded that punt, signaling fair catch, the Saints were whistled for a holding penalty, so rather from the 20 or the 21, they're going to back him up 10 to the 11 to begin this drive.
You know, the Saints' philosophy or approach of changing out some of their starters, one thing that it does suit them, they're the fifth-rating rushing attack in the league right now, but as of late, their commitment to the run has been questioned. I imagine Sean Payton is going to rely heavily on the run today for a lot of reasons, not the least of which Drew Brees is not in the game, to see if he can recommit to that, crank his offensive line and running backs up, and get a good game running. Now, they're without Pierre Thomas, which is going to affect it, obviously, but we'll see a heavy dose of Mike Bell and Reggie Bush.
I don't know, Coach. I got to tell you, I really have a hard time understanding, and I think a lot of Saints fans have a hard time understanding when you've lost 2 games in a row after beginning the year 13-0. To be sitting a lot of these players right now has to have some perplexed. I mean, let's look inside some of the numbers over these last 2 games and losses to Dallas and a shocker against Tampa Bay. Averaging 17 points a game in the 2 losses. You go to the total yards per game, significantly down the last 2 weeks. And then the third down conversion rate, still not a lot wrong with 39%, but it ain't 48%. Brunell play action, looking down the field for Meacham. He overthrew him, but there is a penalty flag on the play.
Illegal contact, number 41, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, and it's just about the contact by the DB here, obviously. You got that 5-yard rule. Once you get past it, once he saw he was beat, got the little push at the end for the illegal contact. He's lucky it wasn't a deeper penalty in terms of it being pass interference. He was protecting himself against the deep ball in that instance. Probably a good penalty on his part.
Automatic first down from the 20-yard line. They will hand it to Reggie Bush. And Bush, a big gainer. That's a first down and then some all the way out to the 37-yard line.
You know, Tom, you're talking about the lack of productivity or the difficulties that the Saints had the last couple games. I think part of the decision for Sean Payton is that he has a lot of confidence in this offense, and he should. They're an excellent offense. As I said in the open, though, my concern is what are you doing to your defense? They have really fallen off the second half of the season. They were playing very well to start the season. Do they have the momentum defensively they need to now make a run at the Super Bowl?
Of course, they've had so many injuries on defense. Here's Brunell rolling, throwing, finds a tight end, Darnell Dinkins, and he's out across the 40 to the 41. On defense, the Saints have players that have missed 23 starts due to injuries. They have 8 more games that have been missed by some of the backups of those starters. So they do indeed have a lot of guys nicked up, but of course they won't play next week, and then we'll play in the divisionals the following weekend.
And that's definitely a part of the equation. The injuries inside, particularly to an Ellis, has clearly affected the play calling for defensive coordinator Greg Williams.
Set up the screen to line now Hamilton, and he breaks a couple of tackles and lunges across midfield for another Saints first down.
given the athleticism of this backfield for the New Orleans Saints, and again, Pierre Thomas not in, but certainly when you're talking about Bush and Bell and even Hamilton, this is a team that has the potential, even though they screen fairly well, to be much better at the screen game because of their ability to stretch you. I expect to see a lot more screens out of this New Orleans Saints team as they get into the playoffs.
Devery Henderson motion. They give it to Mike Bell, and he has a good pickup. Down to the 45-yard line. Of course, through the years, thinking about the Saints and having a big-time running game or getting a lot of production back there from anybody except Deuce McAllister. It began to change last year with Pierre Thomas, and look at some of the production by that trio this year.
Well, and the combination of Pierre Thomas and Mike Bell is the very familiar around the league now 1-2 punch at running back. You have to look at them collectively. They have been the two that have given them a much more physical personality than they've had in years past.
Bell dropped for a big loss. Back at their own 48-yard line by, again, Everett Brown, off to a big start today.
Yeah, and watch the get off here by Brown. Look at the way he comes. He just beats them to the punch here. See him right on the edge. The guard pulled a little bit. The tackle needed to take just a bit off of him. Looked like it might have been an assignment bust there, because all he did was step through that C gap with a clean path to the running back, unabated, as they say.
Brown, a second-round pick out of Florida State, wrapping up his first year in the NFL, 3rd and 11. And they hand it off to Bush. And again, Brown getting into the backfield and dropping Bush along with Marshall.
Everett Brown, I got to see. I'm not quite sure where I can find him right here. He's just going down on the edge. No, they occupied him inside. He collapsed himself down inside through the gap. I tell you, this rookie is really showing up today. This is one of those games I'm talking about, finishing a game. A young man like that has an opportunity for it to be a springboard going into next year.
That ball checked up. That's a nice punt right there by Thomas Morstead. And again, Carolina will start deep in its own territory. DeAngelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, only the 6th duo in the history of the National Football League to each carry for over 1,000 yards in the same season. Now, one caveat to that, with the rushing yards today already by Stewart, he is 13 yards away from going over 1,100. If he gets 13 more, they would be the first duo ever to have two backs go over 1,100 rushing yards in the same season. Mike Goodson trying to spin out of the arms of Roman Harper, and maybe got back to the line of scrimmage. Let's turn back the clock, Coach. Two 1,000-yard rushers in the same season on the same team, the Dolphins. Mercury Morris and Larry Zonka, Rocky Blyer and Franco Harris. Ernest Biner and Kevin Mack. That one was a surprise. Yeah, it was. And the Ernest Biner on my staff in Baltimore, great running back coach now. And look at that. That's the rare one, obviously, when one of them is a quarterback. And then you look here at the power running game of the New York Giants. Obviously this year, not as overpowering as it has been in years past. Nope. Second down carry for Goodson again, and again barely back to the line of scrimmage. Presley there to make the stop. Your impression so far of Matt Moore? Well, we don't have a lot to go with Matt Moore. I meant in his last couple of games. Yeah, you know what? There's no reason he can't be a good quarterback. He's got the size. He comes out of a passing offense in Oregon. He understands the concepts. He just needs a lot more snaps to see how is he going to deal with the pressure, particularly like here on a 3rd down. Can he produce on a 3rd and 10? They're going to roll him out to the right. He's looking down the field and loses his footing, loses the ball. And is it a live ball? It is, and it is a touchdown for Anthony Hargrove. Hargrove recovered a fumble in the end zone for a touchdown. The first meeting between these two teams, and he's done it again today. How about that? Well, they're moving Matt Moore. They like to move
outside the pocket, even on a third down here. You can see him rolling to the right. He had Musa Muhammad going vertical, nothing underneath, and then he just goes down. That is a hard feel out there. I was out there in the pregame warm-up. They don't have the heating coils on underneath this. This is a hard feel out there. Just lost control going down. You're going down on your backside like that. You got to secure the ball.
It's one area where New Orleans has been great, not good, great this year. Their 40th takeaway. That's the most in the NFL. And that is their 9th defensive touchdown this season, which ties a franchise record set in 1998. Now there is a challenge here made by John Fox. I'm sure he's challenging that fumble. Now Moore slipped, lost his footing. Hargrove made contact with the ball to jar it loose.
Well, the question is, he's not giving himself up here. That's part of the equation. When a quarterback gives himself up, he doesn't have to be touched and down. He's not giving himself up. He's just going down. He's untouched at that point. I can't see if the ball's coming out there early or not. It's a matter of, was he down? Was there contact? We'll see here a much better look on when this ball comes out. He's on the ground. Boy, at that one, I think that's a fumble. Yeah, I think the ball comes out. We'll see what they come out of this replay challenge with, but I think that's a fumble. And again, to make it clear, when a quarterback is down the field and running and gives himself up.
Like a slide.
Like a slide, that's, I'm giving myself up, and now there can be no fumble on that no matter who comes in late. They obviously don't want people piling in on the quarterback. This is not that situation. Clearly behind the line, not giving himself up. He's just going down. Again, keep in mind, this is it irrefutable evidence to repudiate what was called on the field. I don't see that there. I believe the call on the field will stand.
You want to talk about some long odds. What are the chances of a defensive tackle who scored a touchdown on a similar play between these two teams the first meeting, doing it again the next time they get together? Or any game for that matter, defensive tackles scoring touchdowns, 2 of them in a year.
Even in Las Vegas, I'm not sure that's posted anymore.
I hear
what
you.
Those odds are, or if anybody's got that bet. Exciting for that young man, obviously. He'd love to see this thing hold up.
Well, if you can wager on it and somebody did wager on it, they might be buying an NFL franchise, and we'll know their name very soon.
And we talked about it in the open right now, Tom. There's not a lot of energy in this building right now. I don't see a lot of energy on either team. This is the concern when you come in and approach a game this way.
We have a verdict, which we're still waiting on.
Part of the runner's body is down prior to the fumble. Therefore, the runner is down. Carolina will keep the ball at the 4.5-yard line, where it will be 4th down. Please reset the clock to show 3:10. 3:10 the clock, and Carolina will not be charged with a timeout.
Now, what he didn't say in there was that he is down and there is contact. If he's just down and there is no contact and the ball comes out, but right here you can see that contact. Obviously, he's interpreting that there was contact enough there to say the ball was, or the ball carrier was down. Had there not been the contact, then obviously in the NFL, that ball comes out. It's a live ball.
So it must have been with the legs of Anthony Hargrove.
And all it takes is any kind of contact.
So no touchdown for Hargrove. And punting out of his own end zone is Jason Baker. And Reggie Bush coming up to get it at the Carolina 43, and he has room. Bush cuts it back to the inside. A penalty flag is thrown back close to midfield. Gary Barnidge on a tackle after a 20-yard return by Bush, but this may come back.
You talked earlier about the commitment of the Saints. Let's listen to the call.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 15 on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
You talked about the commitment of the New Orleans Saints to wanting to improve the return game. Right here, the fact that Reggie Bush is in the game returning punts, and according to Sean Payton will do so the entire game, tells you that this is one area that they're going to stay alive with. Here now we're going to see come back and see where this was. They're going to just, their gunner and the contact all the way maintained. You can't put your hands on the back. As unobtrusive as that was, as pedestrian as that was, he rode his hand on his back all the way down the field. Can't do it.
So now Brunell and the Saints get the ball after the penalty at their own 45. Hit as he threw, and the throw is too high for Marcus Colston. We'll check in on some early games. So many important games, including Minnesota and the Giants. Minnesota trying to get the #2 seed. They need a win and a Philadelphia loss later at Dallas. The Steelers looking for help. So too is Miami. You know about Indianapolis? Boy, has that been hotly debated as the Colts taking starters out of the game and Peyton Manning out of the game, and a loss to the Jets last week. Hand off to Lionel Hamilton. What were your thoughts on that, Coach? I think I've heard just about every opinion available from one end to the other.
Well, I will tell you that from an intellectual standpoint, what head coach Jim Caldwell, general manager Bill Polian did makes sense. I understand it. I don't like it. I had 3 opportunities as a head coach, not in undefeated seasons, and once as an assistant coach in Minnesota. I think you got to play. I don't think you can play this game afraid. I think momentum is important, and you need to keep your players in a rhythm. Again, I understand it. I don't disagree with it. I just don't like it.
Short drop, pump fake by Brunell. He's looking for Henderson, and it's jarred loose. Good play. Not good news for the Patriots, trying to nail down that #3 spot in the AFC playoffs. Cincinnati, of course, also looking for the 3 spot. Punt and a fair catch. Courtney Roby nearly bumping into Captain Munnerlyn. Jonathan Stewart for a yard.
You know, we just heard Kurt Menefee talk about Wes Welker maybe leaving the game with an injury. That underlines what we were just talking about, Tom. It's all about what are the consequences. If you play your guys and someone gets hurt, you're the village idiot. What are you doing? If you don't play your guys and now you stumble the first round in the playoffs, you don't have quite the rhythm you had before, now you stand next to that other village idiot, because it's all about what is the consequences.
Have you ever been called a village idiot?
Oh my God, it's got it on my license plate.
Couple of yards on the pickup there by Jonathan Stewart.
Now, Matt Moore, I'm going to be interested to see. Part of this for Carolina, is it not, is we've got a young quarterback in Matt Moore that looks pretty good. We got to see whether he can be a guy that can challenge Jake Delhomme, and we'll talk about that later on. We'll talk about that later on in terms of, is that going to be a legitimate combination for John Fox to choose from next year? But use this game. Believe me, New Orleans is packing this box now. They're putting a lot of people down because they know you want to run the game. He's going to have some opportunities one-on-one on the outside. Let's see what this young man can do. Let him put it down the field. Let's see if he can make the throws that he's going to have to make when you come back next year and are going to have to play a 16-game slate as the starter.
Delhomme is guaranteed a pile of money looking ahead to next year, well over $12 million. He's taken his team to the playoffs 3 times since he came from the Saints to the Carolina Panthers, including a divisional championship a year ago. But he really struggled here in 2009.
He did, and John Fox loves his quarterback, but John Fox is on that 1-year contract we're talking about. Best guy's going to play.
They'll run it on 3rd and 9. Brad Hoover is shot down by Jabari Greer. That's a good sign for Greg Williams, seeing Greer back out there following that sports hernia surgery. Well, and
I got to be a little critic here now. I want to find out about my young quarterback. I've got a 3rd and semi-long, and I hand it off to Brad Hoover. I'm not quite sure what it is we thought we were going to see or what I need to see out of Brad Hoover.
Punt by Baker, a fair catch called for by Reggie Bush at his own 48-yard line. All right, when you look at qualities of an NFL quarterback, and Brian Billick, you've been at this a long time, walk us through.
Well, not long enough, obviously, but this is in no necessary particular order, and these are just, when I say gym rat, the big thing in the league right now, is he a football player? Is he a guy that's going to live at the building? Does he just live and breathe the game? Accuracy, the number one thing. Forget arm strength. People are looking for accuracy. Mobility doesn't mean athleticism, mean big plays down the field running. Can I move in the pocket? The mental and emotional toughness that you have to play in this game, and to use a Bill Walsh term, does he have the full range of throws? Can he throw the little dump off, the flare pass, along with the big throws down the field?
Brunell rolls to the tight end Dinkins, I beg your pardon, and he's inside the 45, tripped up at the 44-yard line.
My man Darnell Dinkins was with me in Baltimore, and I tell you what you love about a guy like Darnell Dinkins is a guy that's out of the league for a little bit, gets a chance to come back in, the passion, the focus.
Set to begin the second quarter here in Charlotte. 7-0 Panthers in front. Lionel Hamilton, and he lunges forward, good enough for a first down to the 40-yard line. Well, really not much to talk about outside of the big run by Jonathan Stewart, 67 yards for a touchdown. Brunell making his first start in 3 years at quarterback.
I had many a battle with Mark Brunell when he was in Jacksonville and I was at the Baltimore Ravens, and boy, what a great player. The ability to make plays outside the design of an offense in his day, as good as he was playing at the time.
Reggie Bush dropped for a 2-yard loss. Beeson was there, and the former St. Hollis Thomas in his 14th year also in on the stop. Thomas has been a good player for a long time.
It has, and it was a good pickup for them when they lost Maki Kimoatu early, was in training camp. That loss of the inside really hit them. And the only reason I could pronounce that name so well.
I was going to say, very impressive.
Maki was with us, and otherwise I'd have had no chance, I promise you. Killing the play.
Reggie Bush inside the 25, down to the 24, and Bush carries for a first down, a gain of 16.
Mark Brunell on that play. I'm not sure you can hear this, but listen to what Mark Brunell's saying here. What kill means is he had 2 plays in the huddle. He called maybe a pass, maybe an outside run, and will kill to what was obviously an ISO. If I get the front I want, I'll say kill. You all know we're going to that play. Obviously, he killed it to the right play.
Hamilton again. And a pretty good pickup. A gain of 5. Good blocking there by the backup tight end, Torrey Humphrey, getting playing time today because of the injuries to both Jeremy Shockey and David Thomas.
Well, Sean Payton's loving what he's seeing right now. As we said, they want to get this running game cranked up. A little no huddle, trying to catch him off guard, and even still a running play.
Well, to bring up 3rd down and short. 3rd and 2.
Well, they've certainly run the ball enough, and right now Carolina's got to wonder, would Sean Payton continue to run the ball on this 3rd and short yardage distance? Sean Payton, the Sean Payton you and I know, is going to run a play action pass. Now, whether he does that today with Mark Brunell in this running game, he may very well want to say, you know what, I really want to press the running game. I want to see if we can run the ball on a 3rd and 2. If they do it here, they're going to do it with a quick draw or a trap.
Quick throw to Meacham, and he is denied first down yardage. Reading the play right from the get-go, the cornerback Richard Marshall.
This is just a quick one step to the outside, almost like a running play. I'm going to get it into a playmaker's hands quickly. Nice job by the Carolina defense coming in and swarming, and boy, when you see that kind of play, it's all about just pull the trigger.
So the field goal unit comes out. It'll be a 35-yard try for Garrett Hartley. Hartley, of course, brought on board late last season, hit 13 of 13 in field goal attempts, was suspended to begin this year, and nails that one through from 35 yards out. with 11:13 to play until halftime. Very short kick again by Hartley, kicking off for the first time today, and then Goodson lost his footing trying to cut it to his left. The Panthers have been very successful running the football under offensive coordinator Jeff Davidson, and that they have done plenty of in the play selection early on today.
Yeah, but we need to see more of Matt Moore. I mean, the priority, win the game. That's priority one. Priority two, let's see what Matt Moore can do against this Saint defense.
Going to throw it on first down. Incomplete pass. Muhammad looking for a flag. Scott Fujita in coverage.
And we're talking about, and everybody's got to keep in mind now here, John Fox and the Panthers haven't said anything about their quarterback situation. This is supposition on our part. But with the year that Jake Delhomme have, money or no money, and the way that Matt Moore has played, I think this is clearly something that's going to be discussed a great deal at the very least by John Fox and his staff.
Stewart on second down out across the 30 to the 34-yard line. That'll bring up a third down and 4, a long 4 for the Panthers.
And this, as we said before, this is the down and distance that measures a quarterback, particularly on a very convertible third down. This is third and medium. And the Carolina Panthers have not been particularly great on third down. They're 18th in the league. That has been traditionally a tough spot for Jake Delhomme, who's not a particularly accurate passer, a sub 60% guy on his career. Let's see what Matt Moore can do.
Blitz coming. Muhammad the reception for the first down. Still on his feet across midfield. And look at Muhammad in his 14th season out of Michigan State. Still playing quite well as Muhsin Muhammad. All but 2 of the 14 years he's been with the Carolina Panthers.
Well, Muhsin Muhammad is just the kind of receiver a quarterback like Matt Moore loves. He's a big sweep spot. He's easy to find. No matter where you put it, he's going to come up with it, and he's got that size that once he gets it, he's going to grind out some additional yards that really helps you as a team moving the chains.
24-yard completion to Muhammad, and they go right back to him on the far side. Inside the 40, down to the 37-yard line. Muhammad is Carolina's all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, and tied with the injured Steve Smith with 50 touchdown receptions wearing a Carolina uniform.
I think that was one of those smoke routes, Tom, we've referred to before. Nobody does it more than Carolina. That was going to be a running play, but you get the right look to the outside. The receiver will step back, let you just get it out of your hands quick. Everybody else thinks it's a run. You get it outside to a guy like Muhsin Muhammad, and now you're sitting there with a second and short.
Blitz coming again. Jeff King has a tight end reception, and he's to the 32-yard line. That's good enough for another first down. So Moore able to get it away on a couple of blitzes here. Let's take a look at the passing tree. You call it the route tree in football.
Yeah, that was just a little one route, a quick out. The odd numbers to the outside, even to the inside, just a quick route by the tight end, a quick one route they referred to it. Everybody uses the passing tree, maybe not specifically in the call, but at least in the teaching progression.
I want to go back to that again. There are a lot of fans, I know, we had so many emails and so much positive response after you broke that out a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of people would like to see it again and learn more about it. Walk us through, Coach.
And again, this is from high school, junior high, pro, college, doesn't make any difference. As I said, you got the odd numbers to the outside, the quick out. The 3 is the deeper outside route, the comeback that puts you in an angle. The inside routes, the slant, the curl, the in route, the 4 route, the post, the 8 route, big post, skinny post. There are a lot of variations, but this route tree, I promise you, is used by every team in college football, in the National Football League. It's as old as the game itself.
Not much running room for Jonathan Stewart on 2nd and 11.
Okay, I'm loving now, and as odd as it sounds as a coach, if I got to find out about Matt Moore, I'm going to come back to it again. Great. Put me in a 3rd and 10. Let's find out about this young man. I think I mistakenly said he was from Oregon. Mike Riley, my good friend at Oregon State, would be upset with that. Again, Oregon State, Mike Riley, I would tell you, one of the best college coaches I've ever run across. Had a lot of faith in this young man. Thinks he's an excellent quarterback. I want to see him convert here on a 3rd and 11 for the Carolina Panthers to see if this is the guy I want to go to battle with next year.
Blitz coming. And a screen that nobody was there for. Big pressure by Randall Gay off the edge.
Nice read by the rookie Casillas, recognizing the screen and pulling the trigger. That's the key to breaking up a screen. A linebacker recognizing what it is, pulling the trigger, and disrupting either the blocking scheme or the running back that's supposed to get it.
How about this? They're going on 4th and 10.
I love it. Why not? It's last game of the season. You're not going for the playoffs. Like I said, let's find out what number 3 can do. Let's see what our quarterback can do under a pressurized situation.
Blitz coming again. And down goes Moore. I mean, he had bodies coming from all over the field. Roman Harper was the first one to slow him down. And then Randall Gay is there to clean it up. Mike Bell met head on immediately by Nile Diggs. Coming down the line to make the tackle, John Beeson on Mike Bell. So Minnesota again needing to nail that one down against the Giants, and they will be rooting hard for the Dallas Cowboys later tonight, which would mean the number 2 seed and a week off. A 3rd down carry by Reggie Bush. He's run out of bounds short of the first down by Captain Munnerlyn. It's a great name, and a Captain Munnerlyn.
You know, when New Orleans spreads a team out like that and runs those little traps and draws, it's a big part of their running game. But I'll tell you what, this Carolina defense, as physical as they are in their front 4, they have not gotten anything out of that spread out running game so far today.
Munnerlyn stands at his 15. The punt by Morstead is a good one. And it will be down inside the 5 and a 3. Can't do it any better than that. 54-yard punt. Offensive leaders today for the Panthers. Jonathan Stewart now just 5 yards shy of an 1,100-yard rushing season. And for those of you that were not with us earlier, that would give Stewart over 1,100 to go along with D'Angelo Williams' 1,100+ yards. The first duo ever in the history of the NFL to have 2 backs carry for that number in a single season, the same season. Stewart gets a couple of those, tripped up by Troy Evans, and again we check in some of the numbers. Didn't bring up that New England game. The Patriots need to win that game to secure the number 3 spot in the AFC playoffs. Should they lose and Cincinnati beat the Jets, then the Bengals would be the number 3 seed.
And a big game for Houston at home to try to get over that 500 mark for the first time in 3 years.
Well, now Stewart is indeed over 1,100 rushing yards. That's a first down out to the 16-yard line. So little NFL history we've seen here today. Scoreboard acknowledging that statistical fact, and the crowd reacting as you would expect. Both D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, the first duo on the same team in the same year to rush for over 1,100 yards. Congratulations to those two. And the offensive line, that has been an area of great turmoil this year. We mentioned this group starting today. It's a 3rd straight game they've been together after losses this season of right tackle Jeff Otaw, the left tackle Jordan Gross. And I mean, when you look at those rushing numbers, Coach, that offensive line, guys that were in there or guys that have taken over for him, have done a great job.
They have, and Wharton and Schwartz have done a great job of solidifying the depth of this offensive line going forward.
Brad Hoover sent into the air losing a yard. They ran into his own man.
Yeah, just a little pull by the left guard. He just goes down. He just that blade of grass got him there. A little bit of a surprise. That's a big wide body to get around all of a sudden. Another opportunity for Matt Moore now, and interesting, they've got him all bunched up here on a third down and a decent distance.
3rd and 7, looking for Rosario, and it's too high.
Really like to see Matt Moore try to attempt that play down the field. I realize his receiving core is depleted a little bit, but I keep coming back to it. We got to find out about this young man. Did a nice job the last couple games, but needs an opportunity to see if he can carry a team on his shoulders like he's going to have to next year.
So now Baker standing at his own 3-yard line, set to punt it away. Should be great field position for the Saints, with less than 3 minutes to play until halftime. Bush from the 30. Spins his way up to the 42-yard line, so very good field position indeed for the Saints. Play action, Brunell, great protection. Has to lay it off to the man he faked it to initially. It's Mike Bell, and that is great defense. Not good defense by Nile Diggs.
Watch this return by Reggie Bush. This never ceases to amaze me. First off, the decision, do I keep it or not? And then now look at the feet. This is the type of thing, what a move. And this is what Reggie Bush gives them. We talked with Sean Payton, you mentioned it earlier. This is an important part of the game they want to get better at and will serve them very well in the playoffs.
Torrey Humphrey, the backup tight end today, with a reception up close to midfield. And that will take us to the 2-minute warning officially at 1:56 to play. Sir Purr running the camera down there. It's been a tough year for Wyatt Anderson, our regular cameraman, so perhaps Sir Purr will improve that angle a little bit.
Which one's bigger? What do you think, Wyatt or Sir Purr? I go with my man Wyatt.
Amen. Wyatt's had a great year. He knows what his kid. 3rd down, Brunell. Dangerous throw. Gamble step for step with Robert Meacham. And the former Ohio State Buckeye nearly picked it off and went the other way.
Go ahead, let's hear it. I want to hear about how did the Buckeyes.
I was going to say Gamble's probably still celebrating that thumping of Oregon in the Rose Bowl. And that was a thumping. Mercy. So despite great field position, the Saints unable to pick up a 1st down. And another Morstead punt. Beautifully dropped inside the 10-yard line with 1:43 to play until halftime. And rarely used Dwayne Jarrett. In fact, he's been active the last 3 games. Many believe around here they've lost faith in Dwayne Jarrett. Only his 13th catch of the year after being a 2nd-round draft choice in 2007.
And when we had them near the middle of the season, they had lost Musa Muhammad for a couple games. And it was a great opportunity for Dwayne Jarrett to come in and show. And they drafted him with the idea of being another Musa Muhammad, and the size hasn't quite materialized.
Blitz coming. Pump fake. And a jump ball. The intended receiver, Muhammad, fell down, and apparently there's a reason why. Jabari Greer was with him step for step, but may have made the contact, which knocked Muhammad to the ground, drawing the flag.
Well, like the earlier call.
Illegal contact, number 32, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic 1st down.
We'll see here. It's a double move. You're going to see Musa Muhammad down the field, obviously right here, going to make that quick little double move. He recognizes he's wrong. It's that arm bar. Did you see the right hand? When the right hand turns out like that, even though you look back for the ball, they're going to call it. The
illegal contact call makes it a 1st down from the 26-yard line. Across the middle, and the catch is made all the way out to midfield by Muhsin Muhammad, and Moore is going to call timeout. With 1:23 to play, it's the first used in this half by Carolina.
This is the nicest throw all day by Moore. Crossing route, the 4 route by Muhsin Muhammad, right in stride. That's what you're looking for. When you talk about accuracy, you can hit the player in a lot of places and be completion. But when you put it right in front of that lead glove, we call it, to where you simply reach out and catch it in full stride, allowed a player like Muhsin Muhammad to turn it up and get additional yards.
Big story in the paper today about Muhammad. He originally was a second-round draft choice in 1996 by the Panthers. He left 2 seasons with the Bears, signing as a free agent, then came back to Carolina. He said, there is no way this will be my last game in the NFL. He's hoping it's not his last game as a Panther.
Supremely conditioned athlete. Don't question for a second his ability to continue to play. One of those guys, a true professional that takes care of himself on and off the field.
Well, Moore has 6 completions, 4 of them to Muhammad, and making another one. That's a gain of 5 to the Saints' 47-yard line, and the clock continues to run down to 1:10.
Again, in a 2-minute situation, a chance to evaluate the young Matt Moore.
Blitz coming. He gets it away to Hoover, and he has a first down to the 40. Nicely done there by Moore.
Well, saw pressure coming off the edge, realized that he was going to be a man short. Nice job getting the ball off to Hoover.
Quickly gets him in position and spins right into a near sack and then throws it away. There was a receiver in that area where he threw it away in the arms of Randall Gay.
Well, Saints defensive coordinator Greg Williams is going to test the maturity of young Mr. Moore. Brought Gray off the edge here. You'll see it right here. All of a sudden, unblocked coming on the outside. Randall Gay wrapping up on the big quarterback. Nice job by Moore staying up. And he's a big, powerful guy to get the ball away and eliminate the sack. And the clock would have kept running. So get double benefit there.
Blitz coming again. Moore steps into the throw. And nearly a great reception and double coverage made by Kenneth Moore. But Tracy Porter able to knock it away and lost a shoe in the process.
Nicely thrown ball. Front and back, you're going to see here coming out of the slot, going right down the middle of the field. You got a player on top, a trailer underneath. That's a well thrown ball. Broken up very well, obviously, but just over the top of the underneath defender. Would have been a great catch. Very nicely placed ball.
Well, they made that call on Jabari Greer a moment ago about contact. Pearson Prelude got away with one right there.
Yeah. And it comes down to the arm bar. You know, you hear it's a point of emphasis. They made the big point that even if you turn and look back for the ball, if you raise your arm and impede or cross the body of the receiver, they're going to call it. And in that situation, not as obvious as we saw earlier with Greer.
All right, final timeout of the half spent by the Saints. 7th play coming up in this drive on a 3rd and 10, trying to get within field goal range.
Well, New Orleans is accomplishing a few things here defensively because they're being put in some positions that they're going to have to convert on, obviously, as they get into the playoffs. For Carolina, the more you can look at Matt Moore, the more you're going to get out of this game.
The red line you see is basically where they need to get to match a season-high field goal try by John Casey, and they didn't get there on that completion right to the 35-yard line to Muhammad. Now, do you go for it here? If you try the field goal, I mean, you're looking at a 53-yard attempt. Now, Casey has hit from that mark in his career, but it's been a while. His season high this year right at 50.
I'll go back to my priorities. What do we want to get done here? And I know I may sound like I'm beating it to death. I want to find out what Matt Moore can do. I want to see in this situation 28 seconds. Can you convert on this 4th down, get the team up to the line of scrimmage, give me a kill, knock the ball dead, leave me that timeout on my back pocket, and see if I can orchestrate a couple plays here.
Well, they're taking your advice, apparently. They're going for it.
I think they're doing what they were going to do. I don't know if they're taking my advice.
Well, if they didn't, they should be. Jarrett leveled and somehow hung on to the football. Boy, he took a hit from Gay, and Dwayne Jarrett hangs on for a first down. Boy, did he get hit. How did guys hang on to this? You were a wide receiver way back when.
Whoa, yeah.
Well, now, come on.
You know what? And that we talked earlier about Jarrett. It's that size and strength that they were looking for to have, and big receivers in this league are becoming the vogue thing, Tom. For a while, it was the little run and shoot type of guy in the matchups, but a big receiver that's got some athleticism, because of the sweep spot or the range that I can throw into a big receiver to come down like that. If Dwayne Jarrett can continue to make catches like that, up to this point, there's not been that kind of consistency. He's certainly capable of that.
Well, now you'd be looking at about a 47, 48-yard field goal try if you don't pick up any further yards. Good protection down the field. Jarrett to the end zone. Touchdown. You just got finished saying it, Brian Billick. Can they find something to build on with Matt Moore and with Dwayne Jarrett? 30-yard touchdown. And the first career touchdown for Dwayne Jarrett.
Nice protection. Moore knows exactly where he wants to go because all he had was a trail defender. The defensive back over the top had gone to the outside with the underneath coverage. A big receiver like Dwayne Jarrett. Nice throw. Touchdown for the Carolina Panthers.
The previous play will be reviewed.
Well,
did he have possession going to the ground? That's going to be the $64 question. That's really about the only thing you can question here. We'll have to see if Dwayne Jarrett bobbled it a little bit as he went down to the ground. That's what Sean Payton is betting on here. And it may be, hey, why not? Take a shot. He's got control. Now remember, he's in the open field. There is contact. He has got to maintain control.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yeah, he had control to the ground, and even if it came up, I'm not sure the ball ever really hit the ground. It looked like his hands were underneath. Yeah, you have to have control. He was in the end zone. I don't think the ball hit the ground. Let's take another look here.
Well, once he reaches out and it breaks a plane and he has control of it, right? Touchdown?
But you have to maintain control. Had he bobbled it and gone out, you can see right here, this is the old rule right there. Yeah, it moves. But right there, I don't think I highlighted it just right. I don't think the ball really came out at that point. It was underneath his hands. I'm 0 for 1 with the first challenge, so I don't know where I am here, but this looks like a touchdown here. Let's see again right here. He breaks the plane. It hits the ground. He's got control as it hits the ground. Now as it comes up, he bobbles a little bit. Now, coming out late like that, do they say that he does not have control to finish? That's what we'll find out. I think that's a touchdown. That strength we're talking about, you asked earlier, Tom, about how do you come down with a ball like that? A big receiver like this, and if he watches Musa Muhammad, that continuation, that strength in your hands, this young man has got a great deal of capability. Like a lot of receivers that come out of USC, though, sometimes it's unrealized potential. Again, let's watch at the very end here, and this is what I'm talking about. Looks like he's got it, but then at the very last second.
On the field stands, it is a touchdown.
You got it.
And I think he had control enough through it. At some point, you got to let go of the ball. Nice couple plays for Dwayne Jarrett. One of those things we talk about, can you pick up on momentum? Moore 7 for 9 on that last series. Pretty impressive, particularly most of it coming within a 2-minute atmosphere.
Well, they go down the field in the final minute 30. Remember, they got the football with 1:43 left to play. Point after is good by Casey. And Carolina extends its lead 14-3. Well done indeed by Matt Moore.
He knows what's at stake. He's excited. He knows he's playing for his future, an opportunity to possibly compete for this job next year. And based on the last 3 games, including this game, going to have a good case.
All right. Now I got to ask you. You were a head coach for a long, long time. took a handful of teams to the playoffs. You won a Super Bowl. But earlier you said something, and I thought to myself, I'm coming back to that. You said money or no money. Let's don't kid anybody. Money's a big deal. When you're talking about the owner of a team and a head coach, and you know that Jake Delhomme is guaranteed over $12 million next year, I mean, doesn't money become part of the decision or no?
But finish the thought. Let's follow all the money. If I'm John Fox and I'm coming back on the last year of my contract, what about my money? You know, I'm going to go with the guy that I can win. And if I think Matt Moore can be that guy, I love Jake Delhomme. I love his leadership. But Jerry Richardson's going to have some decisions to make next year as to the direction and who he wants to be his head coach. Let's go to my money. I'm going to be greedy here. Yeah, I know we gave the money to Jake Delhomme, but I'm going to go with the guy that can produce. Now, that decision still has to be made, but believe me, I don't care who's making what. I'm going to go with the guy that can win.
Roby lost the football, still a scramble for it, and Carolina may have it. They do. 5 seconds remain until halftime. Roby coughed it up, and he appears to have been shaken up.
This is just a great shot as he comes in here. Got to protect the ball, obviously. You can see right there, the New Orleans Saints blockers are getting knocked back. Right now, they're not playing at the same pace with the same passion for the game. That entire front line of the New Orleans Saints got knocked back on their heels. And this Carolina Panthers special teams unit, they were going downhill and came up with a turnover as a consequence.
It looked like Sherrod Martin made the hit, causing the fumble, and then Dante Wesley covered it up.
That's always the concern when you come into a game like this, particularly the New Orleans Saints, and this is just what we're talking about. That I want you to watch here. I want you to watch. Stop right here. Now I want you to watch all these guys into here. I want you to watch where they are on their blocks. They are catching people. They're getting knocked. Look at the front, the special teams players of Carolina slicing through. You got a lot of New Orleans Saints players catching, while a lot of Carolina Panthers players have their pads and their helmets going forward. They're playing at a different pace right now, and this is what it leads to, both turnovers and injuries.
Well, Roby's still down on the field. As you see Wesley cover it up, you have 5 seconds left, so one would assume that John Fox would just send the field goal unit out with 5 seconds left to play until halftime.
Yeah, it would be a little tight to think that you would try a shot to the end zone. You'd have to get it up awfully quickly. Kicking a field goal would be the logical thing here.
Well, a good sign to start. Courtney Roby is sitting up. And while they continue to check on him again, let's check in on some of the big scores around the NFL with playoff implications. Minnesota just demolishing the Giants. Steelers beating Miami 17-10. New England and Houston are tied at 13. So here comes a field goal unit to try and end the half as Roby is able to walk off with some help. This will be a 41-yard field goal try for the 14-year veteran out of the University of Georgia, John Casey. Boy, Casey's been doing it for a long time in this league. And it is good. Well, after the injury to Courtney Roby, Hamilton and Bell drop back to return the kick, but a very, very short kick. And Mark Brunell and the Saints will get it at the 38-yard line. Some of the numbers from the first half.
Well, clearly dominated by Carolina, and more so in terms of just the physicality of the game. The ability of the Saints to rush the ball and continue to press the rush which will serve them well in the playoffs, is something we'll continue to see. I don't think even though they're down here, we're going to all of a sudden see Mark Brunell drop back with a bunch of 3-wide throws. That's not what they're going to get done today.
Brunell in the opening half hit on 7 of 11, his first start since 2006. Meacham wide open down the field, and it was underthrown. A little more on it, and there is no debate about it. That is a touchdown for the Saints, Robert Meacham.
Well, they jumped all over the double move. Here you're going to see Meacham, same thing. Okay, I'm going to run a deep in route. Meacham here at the bottom of your screen hesitates. Nice little move and go. Brunell had him. He got it up not only short but late. Had he gotten it up a little bit earlier, I think it'd have had a touchdown.
We brought up that it's very windy, and it has been the last 2 days here in downtown Charlotte. And the wind's still gusting pretty hard right now. Second down, they're going to hand it off to Mike Bell. He's out to the 44-yard line. That'll bring up a 3rd and 5. Should have been intercepted by Gamble. Looking for the slant route to Robert Meacham, and he was overthrown by Brunell.
Yeah, in fairness to Mark Brunell, I'm not here to make excuses for Mark Brunell, but here you sit for an entire season, you attempt one pass all year long, and that's his job. And he's a veteran quarterback, can come in and instrument a game plan for you, but to literally sit all year long with only a single pass and come in and execute at a high level, that's asking a lot.
Well, he's only played in a couple of games over the last 2.5 seasons. Morstead has done a great job putting Carolina in tough spots. Munnerlyn comes up to get this one. And seemingly on every punt play, there is a penalty flag. And that's not an exaggeration.
No, and there's a couple reasons for it. It's tough anyway because everything's so spread out in terms of the athleticism of the players and the area you got to cover.
Holding number 20 during the run back. 10-yard penalty. First down.
17-3, Panthers in front of New Orleans, and Carolina gets a football for the first time here in the second half. Matt Moore hit on 11 of 18 for 133 yards, and that late touchdown strike to Dwayne Jarrett, and here comes Jonathan Stewart. He broke one for 67 yards and a touchdown on the second play from scrimmage in the game. And though that one not nearly as far, it still covered 26.
And you're going to see here, this is, and you've got an extra guy in the box right here. They're bringing the safeties down. There's a lot of people down here that New Orleans committed to stopping this run. And here they still crank off a big play. No team in this league is more committed to running the ball. I don't care if you have 8 in the box, 9 in the box, 10 in the box as the Carolina Panthers.
Stewart 128 rushing yards, jump ball for Jarrett, one-handed catch. And Panther fans and John Fox might be saying, where's this guy been for 3 years?
Well, this is just a well-thrown ball that gave his receiver a chance to make a play. I want you to watch late in the play. I want you to watch Jarrett's left hand, little double move. He fends off the defender, got away with a little something, and the good one-handed catch. This is what this young man's capable of. It's all about, can you do it on a week-by-week basis?
First down, they give it to Mike Goodson. He's inside the 40, down to the 39-yard line. Let's go back to the touch of Matt Moore on this throw.
And this is all about putting the proper air on the ball and yet still keeping it on the field. Just a little bit of a pump, but nice air on the ball. It's all about give a big receiver like Jarrett, Musa Muhammad, a chance to use the body, the athleticism, keep the ball on the table, and that's exactly what he did.
Goodson again. Good strong running by Goodson. He's down to the 35-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and 3.
New Orleans defensive coordinator Greg Williams always starts with his defense, particularly run defense, on the inside out. They've been vulnerable inside, mostly due to injury.
Moore just did get it away. It was batted down at the line of scrimmage. Looked like Anthony Hargrove tipped it.
And we're in that range again. We're going to see what they're going to do here. There again, this is just a little quick out route that they're going to try to get to the outside. Matt Moore, the defense of this, you got to give them some good credit. They realized they weren't going to get home on the outside with the pass rush, so they stopped, get their hands up, and Anthony Hargrove did a nice job of knocking the ball down once he saw he wasn't going to get home on the pass rush.
Devery Henderson standing at his own 10. No Reggie Bush returning punts this time. They'll take a delay of game call to give Baker a little more room to work with.
Delay a game, the offense, penalty is declined, still 4th down.
Which is always, every team does it. You take the delay to back it up. The opposing team knows exactly what you're doing, so they decline the penalty. Sometimes I wonder why.
How about that coverage right there?
Beautifully executed. Beautifully executed.
Quentin Teal was standing down there waiting on it and made sure he didn't break the plane and go into the end zone. Saints get the football trailing 17-3. If you're just joining us, New Orleans resting so many of their starters on both sides of the football today, having nailed down the #1 seed in the NFC playoffs. And it starts at quarterback. No Drew Brees in this one. Dropped for a 3-yard loss is Mike Bell. Tyler Brayton there to drag him down.
Well, we've seen all day long there's nothing inside the tackle, so you're going to have to go outside because there's nothing been inside tackle to tackle, so they're trying to bounce this outside. Great job of running this thing down from the backside. Excellent job by the Panthers, forcing them to get to a stretch play and then running it down.
Brunell to throw out of his own end zone. Incomplete. He had an eye on Henderson.
Well, really no excuse for Mark Brunell on that one. Had an out route on the outside, just needed to get the ball off. Would have been a nice conversion for a 1st down. Just couldn't get the ball out where it belonged. We'll see how safe New Orleans wants to be here. You don't want to turn the ball over here and throwing the ball down the field on a long 3rd and 13. But I don't know that you can afford to hand off a draw or a trap here.
They will throw it. Pump fake by Brunell. And that was 7 yards underthrown.
Well, we're seeing full effects of this right here. Looks like a badly designed play with all these lines. That's what's going on in terms of the Saints offense and defense. Beyond the fact that you're putting backups in, you've got guys that are working in combination that haven't worked in combination on a regular basis. It can be a cascading set of events as we saw here. Now you're kicking off the shadow of your goal line.
Well, it's a pretty good punt right there by Morstead. Munnerlyn from his own 44 turns a corner, and Captain Munnerlyn with a nice return. He brings it inside the 30, run out of bounds at the 25-yard line. 37-yard return by Captain Munnerlyn. Matt Moore and the Carolina Panthers start this drive at the Saints' 25-yard line. Looking to add to a 17-3 lead. A delay to Jonathan Stewart, and he picks up maybe a yard.
Well, that's certainly the type of play that Sean Payton wants to see this Saints defense be able to step up. you can, if you choose to, say, okay, here's an opportunity for the Saints. Draw something from this game. They've committed to what they're going to do this game. But now you got your opponent inside scoring territory because of a big special teams return. Let's step up, because you know what? We're going to find ourselves in this position in the postseason as well. Let's see what we can do.
Stewart met head on by Anthony Hargrove and dropped for a 4-yard loss. No Will Smith out there to begin this second half, and it certainly is worth mentioning. And I ask you, Brian Billick, really hard to believe that Will Smith is not going to the Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah, it is, particularly with 13 sacks and on a defense that is obviously a heralded defense. I don't know whether it was because of the size of the market. You don't hear a lot about Will Smith because they're not a particularly good team and maybe haven't been on the national stage. You know, you hate to say that the Pro Bowl selections tend to be more about a popularity contest. Nice gash inside. But I agree with you 100%. Now, you can't argue with the Pro Bowl players that are selected. They've all got good numbers.
Yep.
But you know what? If I have a choice of a guy, I'd take Will Smith.
Well, when you look at the other three guys that are going ahead of Smith, you have Jared Allen, you have Julius Peppers, and you have Trent Cole of the Eagles.
And you really can't argue with any of those three. But I will tell you, really, head up, and Julius Peppers, phenomenal player. But Will Smith, the year he's had, that's certainly debatable whether he or Julius Peppers belongs in.
Well, I think you can make a debate on whether he's had a better year than Jared Allen. He has a lot more tackles than Jared Allen. There's a 39-yard field goal try, which is good by Casey. 20-3, Carolina in front. You know, Sean Payton brought up yesterday, when you look at the quarterback play,
wow,
of the 6 teams that are going to be in the playoffs in the NFC, does it get much better than that?
Wow. 2 of those are guaranteed Hall of Famers, guaranteed. Favre and Warner, I say. Breeze, possibly, particularly if he can get a championship. I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the really fine young quarterbacks. Romo's, that's an impressive group right there. How do you handicap that?
Well, I mean, you've got really a remarkable couple of ends of the spectrum there in terms of playoff experience. Aaron Rodgers has never been to the playoffs as a starting quarterback. Mike Bell from the 4-yard line brings it out to the 24. There is a penalty flag down on the play.
You mentioned it earlier, Tom.
Illegal wedge by the kicking team. Half the distance of the goal. First down.
Wow, that's a new rule. That's a new rule. That's the first time I've seen that called all year.
The other thing Sean Payton talked a lot about, not only great quarterback play, but your left tackle, if you can't leave him out there by himself, you better provide some help against pass rushers like this.
And that was his point when I asked him, what is it that concerns you most going into the playoffs? He said the quality of the quarterbacks, and your game plan better account for one of those guys every week, and you're going to see it all playoffs long.
Brunell begins this drive after the penalty from the 10. Hands it off to Mike Bell. There's Hollis Thomas right in the middle of all of it. Well, you're not lying about that, Kurt Menefee. I mean, the Steelers, should they win. There's a reception made by Meacham. The ball is loose, and Carolina has it. Richard Marshall covers it up. He may have been the guy that knocked it out of there as well.
Nice job of Mark Brunell waiting out this slant route. Meacham now, a little bit of an underachiever coming into this season, but's had a good season. You got to finish it to the ground. It's that type of play. Now, Robert Meacham, 43 catches on the year coming in. As a high-round draft choice, has underachieved to a degree. Plays like that going to keep him from finding a steady spot on the roster.
Well, both Marshall and Godfrey knocking it loose on that collision with Meacham. So here come Moore and the Panthers once again. Goodson cuts it back to the inside. He's chopped down at the 19-yard line by Pearson Prelude.
And this is just the physicality. Nice job by the defense. You see a punch. They're so good at people stripping the head and shoulder right on the ball. That's just fundamentals of a receiver, and this is what happens when you send that message to your team. Okay, this guy's going to play, this player's not. Go in there, play hard. We're in the last part of a game. We're just trying to get out of here healthy. Those are the type of things that come and have to be a part of the debate. How do you finish a season even though you know you're going into the playoffs?
Second down and 2. They'll give it to Goodson again. And he's still on his feet. He escaped the first would-be tackler, and that was Chris Reese. And then was able to get back close to the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up 3rd down. Finish a thought on the Steelers, by the way, for those of you wondering how they can get in as Reese is shaken up. Steelers have to win their game. Houston has to lose to New England. And then the Jets would have to lose to Cincinnati tonight. And of course, the Jets need to win that game to get into the playoffs.
This is why they say, see what you hit right here. He turns his head at the last minute, and that's where most concussions come in. It's the hit to the side of the helmet that leaves you most vulnerable. Good to see him up running around.
3rd down and 2. Goodson. Well, this time he runs into a bigger man in Anthony Hargrove, and I am not sure he got to the 1st down. In fact, I'm sure he didn't. So the field goal unit back out there for Carolina. Good play by Hargrove. He's had a nice year.
He has. We've seen a couple good plays, knock down a pass in that second quarter as well. Again, we talked about the size on the inside. They don't have Greg Ellis right now. They get him back, have Hargrove on the inside. That is certainly a good combination to have going into the playoffs.
37-yard field goal try for John Casey. Good snap, good hold, and he just does sneak it in there. This guy has been so good for so long. They got him on waivers from Seattle in 1995. For those of you that have not been with us regularly from time to time, and we're not on, coast to coast every single week, but this is something that through all your years in football you've come up with as a way to gauge a team and oftentimes interpret a team's success. And it is unbelievable how accurate that formula has been over the last 3 years. We're going to give you a look at what it looks like this year. Mike Bell, a nice run back. All right, Coach Billick, take me through the formula you came up with to develop Fox Talks.
Well, you always talk about differential. It's not a matter of just not giving up big plays or getting big plays, or not turning the ball over, but and obviously getting turnovers, but it's the differential between the two. Turnovers and explosive plays have always been the two major determinants for success. And it's an interactive because you have to be good at both ends of it. And when you see the final results we'll look at after this play, it's undeniable year after year. In this year's 10 of the 11 that lead the Fox Talks are in the playoffs.
Burnell throws on 1st down. It's Lionel Hamilton out of the backfield. He's across midfield.
And here's an example of what we're talking about, and you can see the Colts are the best. You're talking about a +5 differential in turnover, which is always good, but a +37 in the difference between explosive plays they give up versus what they get. Look at the lower end of it. It's real clear cut. You give up the ball a lot, you're going to lose. But it's all means big plays, either turnovers or explosive plays, or change of field position and points. You combine the two, that's where you follow the good teams.
And it should be noted, we're just not showing you the top 3, and then all of a sudden, leads you into believing this thing's pretty accurate. What at last check, 10 of the top 11 teams in Fox Talks are on their way to the playoffs. Brian, the interesting thing is about the Steelers, and just continuing on with Fox Talks for a minute, I mentioned 10 of the top 11 teams are already qualified for the playoffs. The one team that ranks in the top 11 that at least right now, as of today, would not qualify, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and it's been because of the turnover ratio. They've gotten big plays. but the turnover ratio, and it'll be interesting to see if they can get in, it'd be a clean sweep. And it's because what? Turnovers are always important, but we're a league now of big plays. You've got to have big plays. You can't give up big plays. The New Orleans Saints have been victim to giving up big plays the second half of the season.
Well, they line up in a wildcat and snap it to Lionel Hamilton, trying to convert their first third down of the game. We'll have to see where they spot the ball. It appears to be right where they needed to get. Nope, going to be short. About a yard.
They're going to go for it. Why not? There again, you want to sustain a drive. You really don't want to put, we talked about the guys got stunted the most were defensively for New Orleans. The more I can leave that defense off the field now to finish the game, the better off we're going to be if I'm Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints.
First down and then some for Lionel Hamilton. 25 carries the entire season coming into the game today. Got a good lead blocked by Kyle Leckel.
Yeah, it's amazing how often you see this. Obviously, they're up in the line. You got a lot of bodies in here that are going to try to stop this 1 yard. And because you get everybody grouped up, now once he gets to the line of scrimmage, stop right there, you can see all of a sudden now you got a whole bunch of folks behind you. It's amazing how many times on a 3rd and 1 or 2 you see a back pop out like that.
A 12-yard run by Hamilton, his second longest run of his season. Brunell steps up, fires. Incomplete to Meacham, and he was nearly decapitated by Captain Munnerlyn, and he's down in the end zone. And they're calling a penalty now. It just comes in.
Well, we're going to have to take a look at this. Well-thrown ball, kind of surprised him. We're going to have to see what penalty's called there, unless there's a taunting or something afterwards. I'm not quite sure. They certainly can't call horse collar on this. He caught him around the neck, not the face mask. We're going to have to wait and hear.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And it doesn't have to do with the vulnerability of a receiver at that point because there was contact made with his head.
Well, let's see. I've got to see it again. I didn't see any head-to-head contact here. Maybe I missed it. Let's see where it comes in. Boy, I don't see it, Tom. Someone's going to, whether he threw him down, maybe because he gave him that last little jolt throwing down, I don't know. Someone's going to have to explain what act prompted the unsportsmanlike conduct flag. It had to have been the last little, kind of like throwing a quarterback down once the ball's left, or that little impetus at the end, but I don't know. I don't see it. That was just a good defensive play, in my opinion. You know, with regards to Robert Meacham, the organization has some interesting decisions to make. This is a first-round draft choice. Good to see him jump up here. That's frankly underachieved a bit based on where he was drafted. Has had a good year. Has been a big part of what they've done. But you've got a lot of assets, and you got to decide where you're going to put your money. Do you put the money in keeping a Robert Meacham? You drafted him high. You've spent money to identify, procure, and develop. But then there's plays like that, and we saw earlier some of the inconsistency. What do you pay to hold on to a former first-round draft choice like this?
After the penalty, it is first down at the Carolina 13-yard line. They give it to Bell, and he picks up 2 to the 11.
You know, I agree with you. You see John Beeson there. There's another one. We talked about Will Smith, Tom. We've had Carolina a couple times. If there's another player that deserved Pro Bowl recognition, in my opinion, it would have been John Beeson. I think he's had a heck of a year. He's had an unheralded career and maybe underappreciated.
Of course, Jonathan Vilma, the Saints, who's not playing today, he's on his way to the Pro Bowl. Dinkins, very close to a first down. Inside the 5, he needed to get to the 4. Well, the one thing about this Carolina defense as this season goes on, and certainly well aware that they're out of the playoff race. They were eliminated very early in December. That has not kept this Panther D from just shutting down the opposition, and I mean completely shutting down. It is their 4th consecutive game against a top 10 ranked offense, New England, Minnesota, and the Giants. Those 3 teams combined to score a grand total of 36 points. And today only 3 from the #1 ranked offense.
And that's what I'm talking about, that you build on that. You build on that with your team in terms of the teams you've played in the month of December as to what the potential for this team is going forward.
Hamilton knocking on the gate of the end zone. It didn't appear as though the ball ever crossed. His feet got into the end zone.
Great hit by Anderson. Talk about not giving up on a play. Don't concede anything. I want you to watch this hit as he comes right to the goal line to finish it off.
And then they snap it, and Hamilton takes it into the end zone, a touchdown.
And what these fans don't like and what they're booing about is the personal foul penalty that put them down on this goal line.
Well, the point after now by Garrett Hartley. First touchdown of the game for the Saints. 23-10 our score.
Yeah, just a straight downhill. You know, they had a great goal line stand, feeling the love, so to speak, after a great hit by Anderson, and then the Saints coming right back. The Saints have got to feel good about this drive and about finishing it off, even though they understand it's not going to necessarily impact the game, but to finish off with that kind of drive gives them something to build on going into the bye week before the playoffs.
Munnerlyn flagged for that hit on Robert Meacham. Again, a reminder, a doubleheader. And again, a reminder that the Eagles can nail down the #2 seed in the NFC playoffs with a win. Doesn't matter what Minnesota does. Goodson will take a knee.
Well, as we close down on the third quarter here, we got time for one snap. Let's go back to the priorities of what these two teams want. Obviously, Carolina in pretty good control of the game right now, but I still want to see Matt Moore in situations to help to determine if he's going to be our guy going forward. And for New Orleans, what do we got to do to stop this physical running attack? We got to get some momentum defensively going into the playoffs. Let's do it against a physical running attack like the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers have run it for 150. They've passed for 141 yards. And they'll start this drive on the ground and give it to Woodson. And he picks up a couple of yards. Mike Goodson out to the 22-yard line. Jonathan Stewart apparently will sit out in the fourth quarter. He has been bothered by an Achilles injury the entire year, which he has re-aggravated in the game here today. Matt Moore throws incomplete. He had an eye on Jeff King, the tight end, on second down to begin this fourth quarter. So it now goes to 3rd and 8. 3rd and 8. Catch made, but short of the first down is Muhsin Muhammad. But a half yard short.
And we can now they have changed up a little bit. They've had Reggie Bush back to return punts because of their commitment to wanting to improve their return games. But now they've changed up, obviously, and have put Devery Henderson back to return punts. I'm guessing that Reggie Bush is done for the day, at least as a punt returner.
Good hang time there by Baker, and Henderson not going to take any chances. You see that last drive, thanks in large part to a penalty against Campton Munnerlyn. Covered 64 yards after a total of 67 yards of offense for the Saints prior to it. 23-10, just underway in the fourth quarter, and Mike Bell for a yard. Something to gnaw on the Saints should they lose this game, and they're down 23-10. No team has ever lost the final 3 games of the regular season and then gone on to reach the Super Bowl. Now, you know, some might say, well, how are you going to include the Saints with that group, knowing they're sitting so many of their regular players here today? It's just a fact. Not saying that it'll continue. Slightly overthrown to the speedster Meacham.
Well, Sean Payton's response to that, he's actually one that brought it up and recognizes, says, you know, there's a lot of things you could put on a list that the Saints haven't done after this, that, or the other. So this is one of many things.
They've never been to a Super Bowl.
Right. So there's a lot of different reasons you can point to if you want to. They made an organizational decision to approach this game this way. They pointed back to the 2006 season where they said they kind of did the same thing and had some success, ended up going to the NFC Championship game. But Drew Brees started that last game that year against these Carolina Panthers.
Short of the first down on the carry is Lionel Hamilton. Tackled again by Beeson.
You know, so often people, and for New Orleans, they come back to that basis being in the championship game in 2006. They had the #1 offense, the 11th ranked defense. They're about there defensively. They lost 2 of their last 3 games that year, the last one being to Carolina at home. So they have a little history to draw on to say, when he presented to his team, guys, we're okay here. We can do this. This is the way we're going to approach this last game.
Well, remember last season, the Arizona Cardinals lost to Minnesota and New England by a combined score of 82-21 in weeks 15 and 16. You and I did the game when they were booed off their home field at halftime, as Munnerlyn fields a punt and is dropped right there by Jonathan Casillas.
Well, right now, I don't think he knows what's coming, because he's got his eyes straight up on the ball. Castilla comes in and blows him up. Good special teams play by New Orleans. What they're looking for, obviously, going into the playoffs, that kind of special teams play by a young player like Castillas.
Found it interesting in our conversation again with Sean Payton last night. Talked about how many of his starting players are going to be on special teams when the playoffs begin.
Well, the 3 things, what we say, your word, or need to address in the playoffs. He talked about the quality of quarterbacks we've already addressed, the quality of defensive ends, and that special teams are going to be the difference.
This is Hoover out of the Wildcat formation.
We got to come up with a different name with that. If Brad Hoover is your Wildcat guy, maybe Elephant or Rhino team, or but it ain't no Wildcat with Brad. He's smiling right now going, I don't know who designed this one, but I'm the last man standing, so I'll go ahead and take the snap. Oh boy.
Well, you better come up with something.
Yeah, we'll give it a
Rhino's not bad.
It got to be a Rhino team. Yeah, anything that the pregnant Wildcat.
Hoover out to the 20. I think Brad Hoover's been called a lot of things. A pregnant Wildcat is not one of them.
Yeah, and this is now the second third downs, 3rd and 5 that we've handed the ball to. I love Brad Hoover. Talk one of the premier throwback fullbacks in this league. John Fox will tell you when he's been down, that has hurt them. And the fact that they're handing off to him on 3rd and 7.
Hoover playing in his 152nd game as a Carolina Panther. A non-drafted free agent 10 seasons ago out of Western Carolina. Not only an NFC East champion, still to be determined, a number 2 spot in the seeding. There's a big hit by Niall Diggs on Mike Bell.
Again, just an example of a linebacker. The transition from recognition to action. The good linebackers can do it. That was instantaneous. Blew through the gap. Blew up the running back.
Saints have made those changes across their offensive line we talked about before the game ever began. There's Echo out of the backfield. Makes a reception. And he's up to the 30. And taking the direct snap is Hamilton. And he's up to the 40-yard line. You know, on this final weekend, so many people to recognize, not only on our crew, but certainly 2 of the giants in the NFL. Mike Pereira, the head of officials. This is his final regular season weekend. He'll be retiring at the end of the year. And, well, what a great guy. And we wish him well and look forward to seeing him. And then the legendary Dick Enberg. And I think for anybody who's grown up watching football, baseball many years ago, basketball for so long, one of the greatest broadcasters, an argument could be made the greatest broadcaster in the history of the NFL. There's a throw just short to Robert Meacham. Of course, Dick Enberg will be going back to his first love, and that is a game of baseball. He is going back to broadcast San Diego Padres games for this upcoming year.
And I will tell you, as a native of Southern California, growing up listening to Dick Enberg do UCLA games, but I will tell you, you know, through the grace of God, I've been given the opportunity to have a Super Bowl. I have a lot of paraphernalia. One of my most prized possessions, our championship game against the Oakland Raiders, called by Dick Enberg. I've got his call sheet with it signed by Dick Enberg. One of the most prized possessions I have.
And not only a great broadcaster, one of the all-time great gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Congratulations to him, and we wish both of them the very best, and Godspeed ahead with good health as well.
Mike Pereira came in to his position the same year I became the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, and Mike Pereira has done an incredible job bringing a certain level of focus and cleaning up some of the rules to make it a better game and an easier game for his officials to officiate in a clean, efficient way.
3rd down and 8. Burnell looking around and now throws it away. Had a lot of time back there, but couldn't find an open receiver. Then took a hit from Everett Brown, and the Saints will punt it.
I got to tell you, when I was looking at that clip of the Cowboy Philadelphia Eagle game getting ready, and the way that in the Cowboy Stadium now you go through the fans there to get onto the field.
Yep.
That's never going to happen in Philadelphia. Let me tell you something. They try to build a stadium like that in Philadelphia, you'll never make it back to the locker room after the game, I promise you.
How about Jimmy Johnson in that pregame show?
Oh, baby, that set the tone, didn't it?
Sure did. That was great stuff. Great stories there by Jimmy Johnson about back and forth with Buddy Ryan.
I don't think they're on each other's Christmas card list.
No. 23-10 with 7:29 left to play. We made reference to guys going to the Pro Bowl, and perhaps some of you saw the entire list. If not, we'll give you a chance to take a look at not only who made it, but who is starting in the Pro Bowl. Of course, the Pro Bowl this year will be played a week before the Super Bowl, not at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
There will be players that are playing in that Super Bowl that obviously will not take the chance and risk of injury, so there will be some changes. But you start at quarterback, and the starters, by the way, are in yellow. Drew Brees, a starter, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and you look down the rest of the list without naming every single player. Of course, it's determined by partial fan balloting. Each coach gets to turn in a ballot and get some help from it, I would imagine. And then the players vote. And there is no perfect way to do it. I've always wondered, though, how in the world you ask a head coach, or you ask players, or you ask help from assistant coaches. And I make the reference to baseball because the only major award they vote on in baseball where the coaches vote is a Gold Glove award. Right. 3 or 4 years ago, Rafael Palmeiro won a Gold Glove at first base. He played 3 games there the entire year. Some teams in an NFL season you never play, and some teams you never see on film. So how do you vote?
What ends up happening is you break your group down, and offensive linemen will vote for the defensive line. DBs will vote against the receiver for the receivers. It's guys that you've seen. To a degree, it's a popularity, it's rep, and then the head coach's ballot obviously is going to be heavily influenced by the assistant coaches that know the individual players.
Talked earlier about the defense and how Will Smith of the Saints is not going to the Pro Bowl. Completion for a 1-yard loss to Dwayne Jarrett. Jared Allen, Julius Peppers, Trent Cole all going as defensive ends.
And like we said, you can't argue with any of these.
No.
It's not that these players aren't worthy, but when we bring up a guy like Beason or Will Smith, it shows you the dilemma, because clearly those guys played at a level and could very likely play because alternates and backups typically can get in, particularly this year when so many who are playing, 2 teams are eliminated, obviously, 2 Super Bowl teams.
Fair catch again by Devery Henderson, so 5:16 to play. And Carolina leading 23-10 there. You get a look at the defense, and Darren Sharper, who did not play today, but certainly deserving of an appearance in the Pro Bowl, and for Darren Sharper, it'll be his 5th.
Charles Woodson, Defensive Player of the Year, my vote for that, and then obviously the specialists here.
Nice to see Heath Farwell make it all the way back from Minnesota, a young man who blew out his knee a couple of years ago on the first play of a preseason game, and has become the best special teams player in the NFC. What a hit, delivered by a man not going to the Pro Bowl, John Beason.
Yeah, we had talk about the transition from recognition to action, and John Beason put that in the dictionary when you talk about it. Seeing what you hit, shoulders downhill. Excellent play by the non-Pro Bowler that probably deserves to go, and might very well end up going in some form or fashion. It'll be interesting to see, because again, you're eliminating 2 full teams, 2 pretty good teams, because obviously no one playing in the Super Bowl is going to go to the Pro Bowl.
Screen set up to Hamilton. Hamilton's had a good game here, and he's very close to a first down to the 49-yard line. Over in the AFC, how about that trio of quarterbacks?
Wow, pretty good group.
Certainly some controversy at the running back position. You knew Chris Johnson should have gone. Much has been made about Cedric Benson of the Bengals not going. That's been written in some circles. But I mean, Jones, Drew, Rice, excellent years.
And total yards from scrimmage is, I think, what made the difference for those 2 young men. Both have been big for their teams, particularly Ray Rice coming out of the backfield. I believe he leads the Ravens in receptions.
Catch made by Henderson inside the 35 to the 32-yard line. Up front, Jake Long out of Michigan has developed into one of the league's best. Mangold at center.
You can see there two linemen from the Jets. You can see why they lead the league in rushing.
Mike Bell very close to another first down, maybe about a half-yard short. Take a look at the Pro Bowlers from the AFC. Dwight Freeney once again will be there along with his teammate.
Haloti Ngata, I got to tell you, just a little bit of satisfaction seeing Haloti Ngata from the Ravens, becoming one of the dominant inside players in this game.
So congratulations to all those who are headed to the Pro Bowl. And every year, it doesn't matter what it is, there are going to be those who felt as though they were snubbed, and there are organizations that feel like they are snubbed. I brought up Cedric Benson a moment ago. It's hard to believe the Bengals are a division champion and don't have a single player going to the Pro Bowl. I mean, that's hard to believe.
But what do they call them? That scrap iron group. We did their game. That was great watching one of their games, and that's what they're a team of right now. They take on the personality that says, we got a bunch of guys that really nobody wanted, and that's the personality they want to play to.
We'll run down the final starters. Darrelle Revis. Been a little back and forth with him and Chad Ochocinco going to that enormous game tonight. I mean, I can't remember a primetime game, the final game of a regular season, having a whole lot more on the line than that one. There you get a look at the Pro Bowl special teams players. But, of course, the Jets have to win. They are the home team tonight. They have to win to get in the playoffs. And Marvin Lewis, the head coach of the Bengals, along with Carson Palmer, their quarterback, they have said we're playing everybody and we're playing to win.
And a part of that, and I'm not going to overplay it, but I had both Marvin Lewis and Rex Ryan on my staff, and very good friends. But Marvin passed up Rex as his defensive coordinator when he went to Cincinnati. And I'm sure Rex is going to look forward to say, you know what, maybe you should have rethought about that when you went to become the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. So a lot of drama. Oh, how about that?
Intercepted at the 23-yard line by Julius Peppers. That is his second interception of the year. The other he intercepted for a touchdown against Arizona.
Talk about the athleticism of a big man like Julius Peppers. This is just going to be a little screen pass. Obviously, it's recognition. He sees the lineman release, and then Julius Peppers having the athleticism, the hands, the recognition to pull up with the interception here. Phenomenal athlete. Just reaching out with one hand to tip it up to himself. Phenomenal athlete for that size.
Of course, Julius, a Tar Heel born and bred. Grew up in the state, played not only football but basketball for the powerful Tar Heels of North Carolina. And has spent his entire career at the NFL level in his home state. The question is, will he be here next year? There are a number of ways that he could be here. There are a number of ways that he wouldn't be here. He has a one-year contract. Would they sign him to a one-year deal or a long-term contract? Would they franchise tag him as they did last year and then be forced to pay him perhaps up to $20 million a year? Or do you trade him or let him leave as a free agent? Ron Meeks coming over to congratulate Julius Peppers a moment ago. Peppers' his second interception of the year. And Carolina in command. Under 2 minutes to go. All right. You're paying Julius Peppers roughly $1 million a year. And I don't mean to drag money into it, but it will be a part of the equation. If you ran the Panthers, what would you do with Julius Peppers?
Well, you can't have enough of these types of players. You pay the man. The concern has to be, and this was always my question, what does it cost me? Not as dollars and cents, because quite frankly, it wasn't my money. But it has to be, okay, if I keep player A, do I lose player B, C, D, and E? That becomes the question. And at some point, the accumulative number of players you might have to lose to get that. We lost Adalius Thomas because we knew we were going to keep Terrell Suggs. Sometimes you have to make those difficult choices.
Interesting. Goodson has had a nice game in relief for Jonathan Stewart. And he has a first down out to the 41-yard line. And again, just to stick in your hip pocket. You know, it's interesting, the Saints, they'll be off next week as a #1 seed. When they take the field, either the following Saturday or Sunday in the divisional playoffs, it will have been over a month since the Saints won a game. A month. The last time the Saints had a victory was December the 13th when they beat the Atlanta Falcons. Big deal or no, Brian Billick?
Yeah, it would be. That's the one thing I would disagree with this approach. As I said, I came about it 3 different times. We played. Now, one time we won the Super Bowl. Second time we did it, we went to 2 rounds into the playoffs, lost after a bye the next time. So there's no absolute answer to it, but that would concern me in terms of taking this approach. The emotional state of your team. This game is about emotion.
23-10.